Hello, this is my entry for the second langjam. The name of my language is Matcharoni and Cheese. It's based around pattern matching, and I've been using it to do advent of code problems. So I thought a good way of demoing the language would just be to do a problem on video. So let's just take a look at the first problem. I'm not going to read the description too closely, but we just have to take a list of numbers that looks like this and count the number of times one of the elements is greater than the element that came before it. So first we'll just work on parsing it. We'll put this in a file and open up a new Matcharoni source code file. First we'll just match one of these digits. The language doesn't give us much in the way of parsing, so we'll just have to do it ourselves. We will match all single characters into a single integer. Here we have a pattern that should match a character and return a number. So let's try it out a couple of times and then print that. So the single digit works, so let's try parsing multiple digits and combine those into a number. So I'll make a new pattern that goes over a list of digits that's one or more, and it'll shovel those into a variable called d's, which we can access inside of this block. So if we just return d's, now it'll just return a list, so you can see that if I call this down here. So instead of returning a list, we want to return a single number, and we'll do that by summing this list comprehension. We have a list comprehension over d's. We want to take one element using the star operator. Star gets the current element of the loop. The mnemonic I've been using in my head is like dereferencing in C. And we want to multiply that by 10 to the something. The power we're going to use is the length of d's minus 1 minus the current loop index. Another couple of operators that you're seeing here, this number d's is the number of d's. It's similar to Lua. In Lua you can do pound something and get the length of it. And percent is the current index of the loop. The mnemonic I've been using in my head is the percentage that you've iterated of the list. Percent is percentage complete. This should parse the number. We don't have a sum defined, so we should get an error here. Variable sum not found, so let's just define this real quick. We'll have a sum over a list of integers. We'll return the accumulator and add to it inside of the for loop. So inside of a for loop, you can also use this star syntax, and that should work. And we have the ability to parse a single number. So let's make a new pattern that takes our existing pattern, and let's just parse new line separated numbers. Could call this NL nums for new line nums, but since it's actually the whole input is just new line separated numbers, I'm going to call this parse input. We're going to use the shovel again. We're going to have nums inside of here. This num here is referencing the pattern we defined earlier, and it's shoveling into this variable, which we'll use later. It's going to be concatenated with a new line character. And we just want to return the numbers. That should be it. Let's use this to try parsing the file we saved earlier. If I just print out this file, we have a list of characters, which is a string. So if we try parsing this, we do indeed have the list of numbers that are in the sample. To do the problem, we just have to count the number of times that one of the elements of the list is greater than the element that came before it. So we can use a for loop for that. Let's save off the input into a variable and loop over it. For each element, we want to see if it is less than the element that comes after it. I guess you could also go the other way around and see if it's greater than the one that comes before it, but let's do it like this, and we'll just skip the first iteration of the loop. We'll guard this entire block by saying if we're on the first reading, then don't do anything. If this reading is less than the reading that came after it, then increment our counter. I think that's it. So I think we did something wrong because it says we read off the end of the list. We want to flip these. The answer it gave us is 7, which is the right answer for the sample. So let's try it on the big input. I will copy this and paste it into a file and run the program on the input. So the answer is 1766, and it was the right answer. And that's it for the demo. If you want to see more about the language, check out the repo, and happy langjam!